Pastors, entrepreneurs, business owners, I got a question for you. Do you often find yourself trying to figure out why is it that you're not getting the kind of traction that you're looking for, particularly when it comes to producing digital content? Well, I understand. Trust me, been there, done that, and I'm going to help you out on this episode of Bootstrapping Business and Ministry. What's going on, everybody? Glenn P. Brooks Jr. here. Super excited to be back with you guys on another edition of Bootstrapping Business and Ministry. And I want to talk to you guys, at least this first part will be about uncovering some secrets I have found that's causing you not to get the kind of traction that you need when it comes to producing digital content. Guys, let me help you understand. 5 years ago, when I became a full-time entrepreneur, I recognized that there was a reason why my sales background was not benefiting me when it came to getting traction on social media. I'm going to take you inside of a lunch and learn that I did with a few people within our MAPS Masterclass, and I'm going to help you understand what I showed them on why that is and how to fix that problem. Today is just part one. I hope you'll stick around. We'll have a few things to share with you when you come back.
Because you're showing up as the authentic you will stand out as an original, I promise you. So here are the 5 mistakes that you're making when producing digital content. And number 1, I want you to put this in the chat: branding narcissism. Mistake number 1, branding narcissism. When we talk about branding narcissism, what I'm talking about is that most brands approach content creation. When they do that, they pay too much attention to what they think is important and not enough attention to what really matters to the consumer. What I mean by that, Naomi, is that if I am a narcissist, really everything is about me, everything. When you say something, it's about me. When I say something, it's about me. When you infer this, it's about me. When I say that everything is about me, anybody ever meet a person that if you talk to them long enough, the conversation is going to become about them? It's just flat. You already know it going in. When before this conversation is over, I don't care what we're talking about, it's going to be all about them. And I'm not going to feel like I'm considered. Can I tell you that is a content producing mistake? When you produce content that makes you feel good. Let me give you an example. Musicians are notorious for being selfish. Notorious, particularly jazz musicians. Jazz musicians generally by nature don't care what you think about their stuff at all. They do not make music for other people. Their music is narcissistically created. It is about them. It is about what they feel. It's about their art. It's about their own creativity. And when you're really true to that art form, when you show up, it's a blessing that other people like it, but it's not about them. It's about you. Here's the problem with producing content digitally that's different than that. The problem is that if your content doesn't solve a problem that someone else is having, the challenge will be for you to get paid for it. That's why they call them starving artists. I need y'all to hear this loud and clear. Ministry-minded people think this way a lot too. They don't call it the same thing though. See, because they think from the perspective of freely have I received, so I will freely give. They never look for a transaction in it because for them, it was never about the other it was always about just making sure that they were obedient to the process, if you will. And the challenge is, as a business owner, you won't eat like that. And I need you to understand there's nothing inherently wrong. And I'm not even coming against the jazz musician who creates music for himself. But I will promise you, there are very few musicians that break that barrier of creating what they want that people like, and they're able to do that on a high level. That's why the Miles Davises of the world are rare. Those are icons. Those are people who are legendary in their status because somehow they were true to themselves as musicians. But people love their work and they bought it like you would not believe. Those people still didn't make music for the people, but somehow they achieved a balance of them and their audience. See, here's what a mature content producer will understand is that it's not all about me, because at the end of the day, what I'm producing, I'm desiring it to be consumed. See, because if that were true, in other words, if it wasn't really about them, then you would never hear of that person ever, because they would have stayed in their living room forever, only playing for their own pleasure. So on some level, it is about what people will like and if they will appreciate this art. The only difference is that some people are married to not, or divorcing. They approach their craft from a place of being divorced from their audience. And that's the mistake that you make when you produce content. So I'll give an example using Christine's business. Christine is now navigating what the landscape will look like to do summer camp in a virtual way because of this pandemic. Here's the mistake that most people will make. They will look at how they did summer camp and they will try to duplicate that on digital. And that's the mistake. And the reason why is because the two environments don't translate. So I have to think like, what does a digital consumer want? How can I appeal to the person who can only see me by way of screen? There's going to have to be a ton more engagement, individual paying attention. As a result of that, you probably will have a smaller room, yet more effective, because the more people you spread out in a virtual environment, the less connection you're going to have, because you cannot pay attention to all those people one-on-one in a room this tight-knit. Does that make sense? Versus in a situation when you are in the same room, you have counselors, you have people, you have all kinds of support that can help you sort of corral that room. In this particular case, you have to think very carefully as to how you navigate it. Number one is branding narcissism. Number two is feature fixation. Consumers don't connect emotionally with features. They connect with the impact that they imagine a product will have in their life. Now, this generally appeals to the person who is highly sales driven. You have two different kinds of business minded people. Some think sales, some think marketing. They're two different animals. Sales is designed to get you to purchase. Marketing is designed to make you aware. Those are two different things. Toyota, when they buy a spot at the Super Bowl, it is not designed to make you go buy a Toyota. It is designed to make you aware of the brand. That's why they will pay millions of dollars not to get. Nobody buys a Super Bowl commercial and think, this is going to cost me $5 million for 30 seconds. How do I get my money back? Nobody does that, because you're not buying a Super Bowl commercial to sell. You're buying a Super Bowl commercial to market. I need you guys to hear that. It's a branding move. It's a marketing move. It's a top-down approach. This is to keep your name in people's mouths. Ultimately, it will produce a sale, but it's not going to do that immediately. So if you're looking for $5 million to come back in, you're going to be in bad shape. You're going to be sorely mistaken, because that's not what that medium is for. Many people will use social media as a sales tool and not a marketing tool. That's where content creation comes in. When you master being able to create content, you create an appetite for what you do. And that's what generates the sale eventually. So Claudine, when you show up with what you do at Reds Inc. and what you do in all of the different programs that you have, from a social media standpoint, are you producing content that creates an appetite for what you do? If you can successfully do that, you will garner their attention, and that's when you can hope to sell somebody something. I can't sell you anything if you're not paying attention. Can you imagine a person coming on a car lot to buy a particular item and they never stop moving? How's the salesman going to sell them something if the person doesn't stop long enough for them to actually have a transaction? So what your goal is, Rick, is to get them to stop long enough to consider you. So when you do your air frying deal this weekend, your goal really, more than anything, is to market who you are, what you do, why you do it, and who you do it for. That needs to be laden all through that content. You need to be thinking, how am I showing people the benefit, not the feature? So when you talk about feature fixation, guys, most people, salespeople, think, what is the feature? This has all the bells and whistles. In this particular item, we have the latest of this. Those are all features. The fact that my car has, I don't know, a moonroof. I'm not, how does that benefit me is the question. Like, why do I pay an extra $1,000 for a moonroof if it don't benefit me? Now, if I can get you to understand that when you ride down the road with vitamin D coming through, vitamin D is known to show ... And now I'm starting to show you the benefits. Now, a person who is vitamin D deficient is coming to talk to me. But the only reason that they know that is that I positioned that particular item as I didn't do it as a feature. I did it as a benefit. So now when I get on and I talk about this car and I talk about this moonroof, I'm not talking about the fact that it's this brand new feature and nobody else has it. I'm telling you about the benefit of it. And although there are other people with cars with moonroofs, you're going to come buy yours from me because no one talked about the benefit. And now you're going to feel connected. We're talking about feature fixations. Again, consumers do not connect emotionally with features. It's not an emotional attachment at that point. And when you produce content that doesn't get people connected to the benefit of what you do, it's only the feature of what they do. Most often what you're going to find is that they're not going to either stick around and watch your content very long. They're not going to like it. They're not going to share it. They're not going to comment on it. And they certainly are not purchasing anything from it.
I trust that helped you out. This is just, again, the first part. We're just uncovering those 2 steps on the 5 mistakes that you're making when producing digital content. Guys, I promise you, you're not alone. If you have enjoyed this content and it's helped you in any kind of way, I want you to click the description below. If you want to come work with us in the MAPS Masterclass, we'd love to have you, because here's what I know to be true. If you're going to get to any place of significance, you cannot do that by yourself. Why? Because we all need some help. We'll see you guys next week. If this content has helped you, we want to encourage you to please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And we'll be back again next Wednesday for another edition of Bootstrapping Business and Ministry.